Hello and welcome to Giant Mess, a sloppy sports and entertainment talk show that covers Giants football, Mets baseball, movies, and TV shows. It's also got a lot of comedy, life lessons mixed in for good measure. It's hosted by a Giant Mess. That's me, the Real Cinch Neal Lynch. I am a Irish-Italian-American, former college quarterback and pitcher, turned overthinker, and currently a dadzilla. Happy Halloween, y'all. It's the Halloween edition of Giant Mess. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about whatever friggin' malady is going around. Whatever contagion is infecting the world has infected me. It took me down for 2 whole days, so we'll get into how I defeated it through a slew of medications that are still flowing through these veins. I don't know that this is ever going to stop. I think this is my life now. Can't stop coughing, won't stop, can't stop coughing. Talk about a pretty full weekend. It's a Halloween weekend, didn't have my daughter, but we got to do a little, we got to branch out, explore, see the sights of Middlesex County. Went to a pizza pasta beer garden out there in Freehold and a dive bar out in Monroe Township, New Jersey. So not really Halloween-ish, especially with the weather that we saw on Saturday. What the fuck was up with that? I don't know. We'll get into it. Do some quick reviews of Five Nights at Freddy's and no hard feelings. Five Nights at Freddy's, based on the video game franchise, with Josh Hutcherson of Hunger Games fame, and No Hard Feelings with Jennifer Lawrence of Winter's Bone fame. Also of Hunger Games fame. Whoa, I didn't even put that together until just now. I had myself a little bit of a Hunger Games Friday. Okay. Then we're gonna recap the Giants-Jets debacle. Fitting that it was Halloween weekend because it was scary as fudge, y'all. How we blew that. Sure, victory. And then we'll preview the upcoming game against the Raiders. So with that, let's get it started up in hell. Yeah, was in good spirits last week, at the beginning of last week, because I was getting back into the habit of actually working out, which I've been motivated and inspired by a certain individual to get my ass in shape. And so worked from home Monday and Tuesday. On Monday, and got a nice little home workout in with the adjustable the dumbbells. And then Tuesday, got on the Peloton. Felt like, wow, I'm really turning my life around. And then Wednesday hit, and Wednesday afternoon, around the afternoon, right before a big meeting, it was just like, ooh, like everything just like slowed down, and I started to feel a little off. And then it just got deteriorated, degraded from there. Was pretty much a shell of myself by the time I picked up my daughter from school, and could barely function towards the end of that day. And then the next morning, was in shambles, complete and utter shambles. And Thursday morning, where I don't know how I got her to school on time. I barely did. And then turned right back home and called out sick and took like a 4-hour nap. And after I woke up at like 1:30 in the afternoon, decided, okay, maybe it's time I see a professional. And I don't think a virtual visit's going to get the job done. So I ended up going to the urgent care center nearby. Waited, I don't know, damn near 3 hours to be seen, while they were pumping some of the worst music that you could ever assemble into one playlist out their speakers, out their system. And I it got to the point where I was like, I'm being punked. That's for sure. I just hope that this is, a good episode that gets a lot of reruns. And even like the people that work there didn't know how to turn it off or they were like, it was either this or 105.1. I'm like, have you ever listened to 105.1? Because sometimes they got some sweet oldies up on now, as opposed to whatever this polka Native American chant bullshit you got going on. And that's not to shit on either of those genres, but like the incessant, repetitious, like it felt like it was in Groundhog Day. I was Bill Murray in Groundhog Day. It was just that for like friggin' not even as catchy as that for 2 hours straight. While I had to wear a mask that I didn't bring and that I had to pay $2 for. Again, how hard up are you, dude? You gotta charge $2 for a mask. How hard up are you? And then you gotta charge $3 because I friggin' used a credit card. Like, how hard up are you? Urgent Care Center of West Windsor. Hot damn. So yeah, I waited almost 3 hours to be seen for legitimately 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes. And she just prescribed me like so many pills, so many medications. They did the swab, of course. You always got to do the swab for the vid. She's like, even though it's not really, it's still around. It's still around. So we still got to do it. I was like, okay, fine. And it still sucks getting the nostril swabbed. No matter how much you've done it, how much you prepared, it still blows. And then she prescribed damn near 4 medications for whatever the hell's going on inside my she listened to my lungs and she was like, they're crystal clear. And I'm like, it doesn't. Does that sound crystal clear, bitch? So she gave me prednisone, which is a steroid that works on the immune system to help relieve swelling, redness, itching, and allergic reactions. Because I didn't think I had allergies, but it turns out, Neil, you have allergies. And the fact that I've probably had these allergies my entire fucking life, and I'm now almost age 43, and I'm just now discovering that, like, hey, you have seasonal allergies, or you're allergic to some shit in the air, and I'm just now figuring it out is pretty pathetic. Benzonatate, used to treat coughs caused by the common cold and other breathing problems such as pneumonia, bronchitis, emphysema, and asthma. Which I told her, I was like, let's get a little short of breath here and there, usually in the fall. She's like, yeah, that sounds like allergies. You're asthmatic and you have allergies. I'm like, huh? What? And she prescribed me an inhaler, albuterol inhaler. So I've had an inhaler before, but I was like, it's like I'm in complete denial that I have asthma, which is fucking weird. But now looking back at how shitty I am with cardio and just like sports in general, yeah, I guess it is. Yeah, that's all coming together. It's all coming back to me now. Celine Dion. So those 3 she prescribes. And then the whole time I'm thinking, like, I got to meet someone on Saturday. Big time appointment. Some might call it a date. And I was like, I need to know if this thing is contagious, if this thing's going to kill this person. Am I okay to go on this? Like, I was looking for the go ahead from the doctor, and the doctor was like, and I think this happens with most doctors. They just don't give a shit. They're like, we are all going to die. Live your life. I think that there's a healthy amount of doctors out there that are just like, you know what? Most of the medical community are a bunch of nerds. You go rage, my friend. Rage on. So feels like she gave me the green light. She's like, the test should be back by then. They weren't. So I kind of risked it, but whatevs. She also prescribed something called Xofluza, Xofluza, to the pharmaceutical companies out there naming your fucking drugs. Get it together. I couldn't pronounce this for the life of me. Every time someone said it, I was like, gun to my head, you asked me to spell that, I'm getting a 1 to the dome, because I have no clue how to friggin' spell or say this friggin' drug. Xofluza. It's like a friggin' Dr. Seuss musical. Anyway, this Xofluza is 1 pill. She's like, it's 1 pill. You take it and it'll knock it right out. as opposed to like Tamiflu or something else where it's like you got to take it over 5 days. You just take this one pill and knock it right out. Even if it's the flu, it knocks it out. If it's not, you knock whatever the hell's in you out. I was like, oh, that sounds pretty baller. And then the pharmacist calls and is like, hey, do you sure what the Zofluza? You really want that? And I was like, yeah, why? She burped in the phone. I thought that was rude. She's like, it's $170 with insurance. And I'm like, hard pass. Like, I mean, I don't know. I guess I should have. It's like, how committed are you to seeing this person? Like, how dedicated are you? How much do you want it? How much do you want it? How much do you need it? How much do you want it? And I was like, 170. It's like I'm already spending like so much on these other prescriptions. Like, I just was like, nah, it's all right. So I didn't get the Tamiflu, didn't get the Zofluza. And I also picked up some Mucinex Max Strength. So it's like I'm throwing the kitchen sink at this fucking thing. Still have it. But yeah, I was out of commish on Thursday. Pumped my body full of medicines. Went to bed that night, woke up the next morning after about 10, 11 hours of sleep. And my bed was drenched, just soaked to the bone. Felt like I got something out of my system. I texted my friend. I was like, I either had like a member of the Harlem Globetrotters come in and throw a bucket of water on me, or there was an exorcism. You pick. So I felt a little better, but still was off. So I called out of work again. Ended up doing a way too much laundry. Too much laundry. Like I tried to do pillows. You ever do pillows? You ever wash and dry your pillows? I haven't done it in so long, and I can hear a lot of probably most likely women or neat men shudder and grasp at their pearls at hearing that, but it's true, And I tried to wash most of them. The one pillow is too big for the goddamn washing machine. I don't even know. I got to take it out back and hose it down. So. Yeah. So Friday was a lot of just a little R&R, catching up on all the TV that I've missed, watching a bunch of movies, which we'll get to. So took it fairly easy. Saturday, got to bed probably around midnight, which even with some kind of infection flowing through the cyst, probably too late. But I still got probably a good 9-10 hours of sleep, I think. And then the next day I went to Trey in Freehold. Supposed to go to 618 in Freehold. Turns out more of a wedding venue. Very high, falutin, classy establishment. And so probably not severely underdressed for that and not prepared for that. So went across the street to Trey, which is a pizza, pasta, beer garden. They have a nice little, it's almost like... You've been to Texas, Arizona, and Hoboken, that little corner establishment right when you come off the train. The path right there, I believe it's on the corner. And they have like an outdoor bar situation where you can just saddle up to the outside bar and you can have that. So we ended up doing that. I got an apple cider mule to kick things off because I thought like that'll be good for the throat, right? Coat the throat. And then I got a beer flight with Trogs Master Pumpkins. So good. Sam Adams Oktoberfest. All right. Sloop Juice Bomb, which the name is better than the taste. It's like not bad, but it's not great. And then Lexington Bourbon Barrel Ale. Of those four, if you were like, hey, which one do you suspect will be the best? I would not have picked Lexington Bourbon Barrel Ale, and it blew the competition away. That friggin' drink is the shills nils. Ordered some Brussels sprouts, which on a date, on an appointment of that occasion, of that matter, in that scenario, risky biz. But I decided to go Brussels sprouts and then the Diavolo pie, which, we had the mustard pie at Nottingham Tavern. Pretty good. Diavolo pie. Consensus was better than the mustard pie. So Nottingham Tavern, step up your game. Diavolo pie. Ooh. and not like overwhelmingly spicy. You know, you see Diablo, you think devil, you think, okay, you know, my mouth is going to require some extinguishment. But this was like the perfect amount of spice. Didn't really kick you too hard in the teeth or in the buds. So ultimately, I think we stayed there till closing. Another 7-hour outing, no big deal. Next day, right back at it. Doc's Corner Tavern in Freehold. A dive bar. We knew that going into it. Has like crazy good reviews on Yelp. A lot of reviews on Yelp. Crazy good reviews. Something like almost 4 point something out of 5 stars. I want to say 4.6 out of 5 on Yelp. And I got there first. I walk in, and I don't think this has ever happened before outside of a funeral, where there have been so many people in a bar and no one is talking. The music is super low. The TVs are on, and everyone is just sitting there quiet. It was like I was early to a surprise. Like I was at a surprise party and they forgot to yell surprise or something. I don't know. I've never seen anything like this. I've never experienced anything like this. Full bar. Every seat just about taken. No one talking. You could hear a pin drop. And it threw me off. And I immediately texted my friend. I was like, it's fucking eerie in here. This is the weirdest shit I've ever experienced. It's creepy. And once the 1 o'clock game started to come on, the audio starts to pick up and the buzz starts to pick up. The conversation starts to pick up, and it's like, all right, thank God. Because like the idea of having to talk to my friend and be the only 2 people talking in a crowded room. Yeah. Try and wrap your head around that. I let off with a Bud Light because it was literally the only tap that I could see. And I don't want to like get up and walk around. And I don't want to have to like, hey, Neil, how lazy are you? I don't want to tilt my head. So I ordered the Bud Light, even though, you know, there's like I don't know that I'm in the kind of territory where Bud Light is viewed in a good light right now after everything that went down. So I didn't even think about that. I was like, I see a Bud Light. I'll order the Bud Light. And then, so I definitely got a couple looks there. People were like, hmm? And I'm like, my pronouns are he, him. I don't know what to tell you. And then I ended up switching to Miller Lights for the rest of the day. But I got to watch the Giants lose in epic fashion. So nice to see. Ordered wings and nachos. The wings, I almost lost my mind. 20 chicken wings for $10. Now that is a fucking deal. And then I realized, and then it came out and I was like, oh, okay, I get it. I got Cajun dry rub with a side of buffalo. These were, in fact, without a doubt, the tiniest wings I ever done seen. Still good, but as I'm eating them, I'm wondering, what kind of chicken are these wings coming from? I don't think these came from a chicken. I think there's some kind of rat situation. I don't know. But they were freaking good, man. But so small. It's like this is not a full-grown adult chicken that I'm dining on. This has got to be preteen, tween, that kind of situation. Nachos were decent. You know, it was like cheese whiz and hot dog chili. So, you know, not like your gourmet kind of nachos, kind of like, I mean, still pretty much did the trick, but yeah, not writing any letters about it. So we stayed until about halftime of the 4 p.m. games. I want to say 5:30, 6 o'clock, and then mosey on home. So it was a weekend full of to the point where it was like, I'm not going to let this ailment defeat me. You know, I'm not going to let it get the best of me. And as I told my friend, I was like, I think I was sick my entire senior year in college. And this is reminiscent of my senior year in college, where it was like, there wasn't a day that went by that I was 100% healthy in senior year in college. I think I just went from one illness to the next. It was like food poisoning one week, and then it was like strep the next week, and then it was constantly like drinking on medication, I think, I refuse to see the doctor. I don't think I saw the doctor once in college. So it's like, you know what? I'm going to pump myself full of meds and I'm going to have myself a time. And I did. And what a time it was. So again, do not recommend because I think results may vary, but I was not going to let this sickness get the best of me. And I know what people are saying. Well, you can go out for a weekend and drink and watch football, but you can't go into work and do work. I was like, yeah, because work is not watching football. Okay, I can watch football and like it doesn't affect the profit margin. I'm not making business decisions. I'm literally cracking wise and vegging out. If that's work, so be it. I'll go in. Glad to be a part of the company. So that's life. It's a quick one, but a good one. I mean, I guess I'd talk about tonight. We went trick-or-treating. I ordered my daughter said that she wanted to be Jasmine from Aladdin. And I was like, perfect. I can be a tiger. I can be Raja. I can be your tiger. So I of course, I put it off and 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 put it off. And last minute Larry over here decides to order. I feel like I looked on Sunday night, but I guess maybe I didn't. And I looked to see if it was available nearby. I'm like, I'll just go out, swing by, pick it up, boom, bang, boom. Not one friggin' store in this area sells a goddamn adult large, extra large tiger costume. Keep in mind that Princeton University, the Tigers, you think they would stock up on that kind of shit because you feel like that would probably be that'd be a bestseller in the Princeton area to have tiger costumes. So couldn't find anything in store. Found something called Tipsy Elves that has one that's like doesn't look like basically like this, all floppy and ill-shaped and ill-fitting. It looks like pretty slick. So I was like, oh, damn. I don't mind looking good while I'm celebrating the good holiday. So I was like, I'll order it. And because it says guaranteed delivery, Tuesday, October 31st, guaranteed delivery. I was like, that's a bold guarantee. And of course, like a sucker, I ordered it and ordered expedited shipping for guaranteed delivery by Halloween. And nope, didn't show up. I talked to the customer service person. I was like, hey, so it says I got the order confirmation. Great. It says track my package. I click on track my package and it says arriving on Wednesday, November 1st. I'm like, can you just double check that, make sure that it's coming on Tuesday, October 31st? And they're like, yeah. We guarantee it. Okay. No worries, my man. We guarantee it. And then all day today, Tuesday, October 31st, I'm just sitting there like refreshing, checking the tracking information on UPS, signing up for alerts, getting 0 alerts or notifications about its update. Like, it looked like things were on track. Monday, it's like, good news, order shipped. And I'm like, oh, plenty of time to get to my front door. Plenty of time. It's at the facility. The label's created. It's at the facility. Just needs to just pop on over. And then nothing. It's just sitting there waiting to be whisked away to its final destination. So yeah, they gave me a refund, but it's like, I guess guarantees don't mean shit. Literally, just go around guaranteeing stuff. Who cares? It's like the quote from Tommy Boy. But why do they put a guarantee on the box? Because they know all they sold you was a guaranteed piece of shit. That's all it is, isn't it? Hey, if you want me to take a dump in a box and mark it guaranteed, I will. And that's essentially what this Tipsy Elves Mickey Mouse operation decided to do. Was like, we're going to slap guaranteed on all over our website, even though it doesn't mean jack. And then have the balls to send me a follow-up email with like, show us your costume. I was like, I wish I could, but it never came, even though you guaranteed it. So disappointing to say the least. And ultimately didn't matter because my daughter decided to audible last second And at school, they had like festivities and activities all day at school, which I felt bad about missing. But it's like I still got meetings and stuff. I still got work. And so she went as Jasmine, apparently threw a fit, and is causing her mother to question life itself, giving her mom a hard time. And then ultimately I end up, I'm like, all right, I'll just rock with the Godzilla lizard getup that I got on right now. If you're watching the video, and went over and I was like, all right, it's going to be a major disappointment. She's going to be bummed. She's going to be pissed, but like, she'll get over it. And I'll just tell her like, hey, I ordered it. Didn't come. I'm sorry. Sorry to ruin Halloween yet again. How many holidays is that you ruined? I've lost count. So I show up and she's not even in the Jasmine costume. She's in like a fox costume. So I was like, all right, I guess this all turned out all right. And then her mom says she was just out of it. She had strep throat. So kind of a lower key Halloween than last year. Last year we went to this main drag closer to downtown that gets the street gets shut down and like the houses go all out. Like every house is just decorated to the nines, and elaborate decorations. I think there was like a candy luge at some point. I vaguely remember that. That's when I showed up. Bree had already pissed herself, and then and then midway through the trick or treating, she had to pee in a bucket. That one was tough because it was so crowded. The sidewalks, it was just mobbed, and you had to wait in a line everywhere you had to go. But like it was, I don't know, it just felt cooler. This one was a lot more chill. It was right by the school, her school, and like they shut down the street, but like not as many people. And you could walk on the road and not like a lot of lines, but it was also like people, I think most of the houses participated. They would put like a table out front and like, hey, take one, but not as many like crazy decorations or people going all out. There were a couple of houses that I was like, all right, nice work. But yeah, we only trick-or-treated for like an hour. Got there at 6, we're done by 7. So I don't know if it's just because I'm older, I'm an adult, but just felt like this wasn't it this year. I don't know. I mean, you know what? The most important thing is, did she have fun? My daughter, yeah. So that's all that counts. She wanted to keep going. She was just mowing through candy. And like her mom was, I think, this is day 5 of this is the 5th day of her 5-day custody. Her 5-day stint with the daughter. And so I think she's just at wit's end and having strep throat. So she was just like mindlessly handing our daughter candy. And so she's just like, I show up, our daughter's already got blue crap all over her face. So she's obviously being something super organic and healthy from the earth. And then, just nonstop shoveling sugar into her grill. So I was like, well, bedtime should be fun. Enjoy that. Savor it. I'm going to sleep like a baby. So yeah, that was Halloween. I mean, yeah, rough, Feel like I didn't really get into the spirit as much as I would have liked this year. Didn't even get to carve pumpkins yet. I'm like, is it weird to carve pumpkins after Halloween? Just extend it, baby. And I don't know that I watched a ton of Halloween shit other than Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2, which I think that might be the pumpkin carving, the logo from the first one and the logo from the second one. Should be pretty simple, right? Oh, yeah. So yeah, that's life. Let's talk about a couple movies. Let's talk about Five Nights at Freddy's. It's about a troubled security guard who accepts a nighttime job at an abandoned family entertainment center, similar to like Chuck E. Cheese or Showtime, one of those, where he discovers that its 4 animatronic mascots come alive and are prone to murder. It's rated PG-13. I think that's where it went wrong, right? And I think that's where a lot of critics thought it went wrong. Should not have been PG-13. Probably should have been rated R. That's how you do it. Horror mystery thriller, hour 50 minutes. A lot of people thought that it felt longer than that. It's from Universal Pictures, Blumhouse Productions. Directed by Emma Tammy and co-written by Scott Cawthon, Seth Cuddeback, and Emmy Tammy, this was her first writing credit. Scott Cawthon is the creator of the Five Nights at Freddy's video game franchise. His inspiration for Five Nights at Freddy's came from one of his older games, Chipper and Sons Lumber Company. The game's visuals were criticized for the characters looking like scary animatronic animals, and so Scott was heartbroken and almost gave up on game making, but then he thought about making a game that was all about scary animatronic animals. And I have a theory as to why this is PG-13. I think this is a super Christian dude. Maybe not Christian, but religious dude. Or at least he's got a fair amount of religion in his life. And I think that's why I never played the games, Five Nights at Freddy's. I didn't even friggin' know until this movie came out that there were video games. But you do a little digging back into the backstory of this, and it's like, oh, this guy's, I think would make sense why this wasn't R-rated and wasn't super bloody or gory or anything like that. I think it's something like Willy's Wonderland or the Banana Splits, which were actually inspired by Five Nights at Freddy's, that they wanted to go something a little more, family friendly. I don't know. This is Blumhouse Productions' first ever video game film. The Five Nights at Freddy's game series premiered in August 2014. Has a number of entries in it. As I mentioned, Banana Splits and Willy's Wonderland are also two movies that came out before this that were inspired by it. Or if you're so inclined, you can say were knockoffs of Five Nights at Freddy's. Banana Splits came out in 2019. A family attends a live taping of the Banana Splits television series, but are forced to survive as soon as the characters go haywire and start a killing spree around the studio. Banana Splits were apparently a Hanna-Barbera property. Don't remember them. Don't remember that. So interesting little twist on that. And it's ironic that I bring up Banana Splits because I think maybe possibly influenced a scene or sequence or two from the movie Nope, which I reviewed last Halloween in this same costume. Go check it out. But yeah, because if you remember in Nope, the owner of the ranch where the horses are getting abducted, the UFO ranch, was a co-star or just a big fan of the TV. No, he was a co-star on the TV show with the orangutan chimpanzee that went ape, pun intended, and murdered everyone in the studio. So maybe there was some influence from Banana Splits there. I don't know. And then Willy's Wonderland. I never ended up watching Banana Splits, but Willy's Wonderland I did see with Nicolas Cage, and I do recommend that. That is a great flick. It's about a quiet drifter played by Cage who is tricked into a janitorial job at the now condemned Willy's Wonderland. The mundane tasks suddenly become an all-out fight for survival against wave after wave of demonic animatronics. Fists fly, kicks land, titans clash, and only one side will make it alive. So Nick Cage says 0 words of dialogue in that movie and is still so cool. I think he actually won an award. He won a Best Actor award. I mean, not for anything that you would know, but he still won an award for speaking 0 lines of dialogue. Nicolas Cage, y'all. So Willy's Wonderland, I recommend. And do I recommend it more than this movie? Yeah. And it's sad because the fact that those two movies that I just mentioned are inspired by Five Nights at Freddy's, you would think that Five Nights at Freddy's would come out and be like, no, this is how it's done. This is how we do it. And just wipe the floor with them. But no, just not quite there. So the cast, this stars Josh Hutcherson, as I mentioned in the intro, of Hunger Games fame. He plays Mike Schmidt, for all you Phillies fans out there, a new security guard at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Piper Rubio as Abby, Mike's younger sister, significantly younger sister, which I didn't really understand that at all, to be honest. So we'll address that, I guess, later. Let's get to the cast and we'll address it later, but very interesting. Elizabeth Lale as Vanessa, a local police officer. Mary Stuart Masterson, which I just completely did not realize that was Mary Stuart Masterson. I didn't know it was Mary Stu as Aunt Jane, who's Mike and Abby's aunt. Matthew Lillard as Steve Raglan, who is Mike's career counselor, and Kat Connor Sterling as Max, Abby's babysitter. David Lind as Jeff, the leader of a gang of juvenile delinquents and Max's brother. And then they got 2 members of the gang and some other spoilery type stuff that I don't want to talk about right now. Michael P. Sullivan is Doug, Aunt Jane's clumsy lawyer. That dude was funny. He didn't say much, but just his facial expressions and like just his overall frumpiness was quite frivolous. And the cabbie, I guess the cabbie was pretty funny too. I guess there was a mid-credits scene that I missed. I guess I turned it off. But that cabbie scene was probably one of the funnier moments. Yeah, I mean, you know, I think I was interested to see that the critics were not fond of this, but the fans were. So I was like, oh, it's one of those movies. So I'll probably love it. If the critics hate it and the fans love it, that usually means it's a good movie. And then I'll like it. And I listened to Lights, Camera, Barstool on today, thinking like, oh, they'll probably be in the same boat, like whatever. And they fucking hated it. They thought it stunk. And I was a little bit surprised because I was like, these critics, they have sticks up their ass, right? They're just uptight. They don't know how to let loose, let the hair down, and just friggin' ride with the wind, you know? They just can't sit there and enjoy themselves. Just like let loose. And no, apparently, like if you're not a fan of the video game franchise, you're probably not a fan of this movie. And I can see why. Again, because it's PG-13. When it probably should have been R and more focused on the cartoonish goriness, campiness, B-moviness that Blumhouse can bring to a movie, so a la Megan, right? A movie about the android doll that goes haywire. Like if I watched the unrated version. So I guess they released in Megan, they released the PG-13 version in theaters and then the unrated version on Peacock. So I ended up watching the unrated version and I was like, damn, that's good. So I imagine the people who saw the PG-13 version in the theaters were like, that sucked. Again, our thirst for blood knows no ends. When will it end? Why do we need to see it? Why do we need to feel it? I don't know. So after assaulting a negligent father whom he mistook for a kidnapper, mall security guard Mike Schmidt is sent to visit career counselor Steve Raglan, where he offers him a job as a night guard at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, which is now abandoned. But Mike accepts the offer because he needs a job, because he's got to take care of his younger sister, Abby, who, or he's going to be forced to pass her over to their estranged Aunt Jane, who really just wants to collect a paycheck from the state. So the sister, Sayang, I don't know if that was intentional. They did make a note about how she might be special. But if Josh Hutcherson feels like in Hunger Games, how old was he in Hunger Games, do you think? The youngest, 21? That came out in 2012. It's 11 years later. So I would have thought that Josh Hutcherson is probably in his late 20s, early 30s. This girl came across as like, I can't imagine her being, she looks like she's the size of a 12-year-old, but was kind of acting like a 7-year-old or a 6-year-old. So maybe that's why they made a note of like her being special. But, you know, given the events that happen, basically this guy's, he keeps having dreams, vivid, lucid dreams where he's out at a campground with his mom, his pop, and his little brother. And the little brother gets abducted, right? He's supposed to, mom's like, keep an eye on your brother. And of course he doesn't. And so he just sees a car peeling out and driving off with his little brother in the back. And so he just keeps reliving that dream over and over again to see like if he can track down this dude, right? So at the time that actual event happened, so you got to think that was when he was probably 8 to 12 years old. So after the kid's abducted, does that mean that like if he's 30 and then the daughter, his sister is like 8, it's 20. Am I wrong here? Am I not doing the math right? It's a lot of years. 22 years? I mean, like, when Vanessa, the police officer, comes to the house, she mistook the sister for a daughter. That's the kind of age difference we're talking about. So it's like, so the two parents have the two boys. One of the boys gets abducted. And then like almost 2 decades later, they decide to have another kid. Am I wrong here? Am I not doing the math correctly? I don't know. Very strange, very weird. I didn't get it. It didn't make a lot of sense, but he keeps falling asleep. Vanessa, the police officer, shows up and she's like showing a lot of interest in him. And she's like, oh, this is part of my beat. So I step by every night and, oh man, this place, a lot of turnover. It goes through a lot of stuff. And so he's like, yeah. Cool. Keeps falling asleep, but he like wakes up and like sees like he's got a cut on his arm. The aunt wants him out of the picture, and so if he loses his job, something happens at the amusement center and he loses his job, then she automatically gets Abby, his sister. So then the babysitter and her brother cooks up this plan to break into it during the day and fuck shit up, which again, kind of a plot hole because it's like the guy wasn't there. Like Josh Hutcherson, the security guard, is only supposed to be there overnight. Once he leaves and locks up for the day, and if shit goes awry then, how's that on him? So I didn't understand how that's supposed to work. Anyway, they break in, they all get murdered. But what stuck out to me most about this movie, which I don't know if we can get into spoilers just yet. Let's get into spoilers. Let's do it. It's a discussion. Let's talk about it. If you haven't seen it yet, is it worth watching? I tell you what, my initial reaction after watching it wasn't bad. But now that you get some time to sit with it, and maybe because it was so visually striking, and I think it hit a lot of good beats and chords, but still there were a lot of questions to be had. And it was like it missed a lot of opportunities to really take it to the next level. I mean, the puppetry, the animatronics are top notch, like really spooky stuff. And, there was not a lot of CGI, if any CGI, which I love. It was a lot of practical effects from the Jim Henson Company, I believe it was. So kudos to them for that, because I thought they really nailed that. Those parts were incredible. But, I think the bloodlust was insatiated. So spoilers, turns out that someone, the guy that abducted Mike Schmidt's little brother, also has been abducting these other kids, apparently killed kids and stuffed them in the animatronics. And somehow, and they don't get into details, but the cop is like, you think it's the ghost of the kids in the animatronics. It's also their bodies. And this guy he's a genius. He's figured out how to control them in these animatronics, which it was never fully explained. And it's like, maybe you don't want to get into the full detail explanation of that, but you just kind of cross your fingers and hope that the audience buys it. I would have liked a little explainer, just wet my beak a little bit, as opposed to like, oh, I don't know how he does it. He just controls them. It's like, yeah, I guess that makes sense. But then you find out that, Vanessa, the cop, is actually the daughter of the kidnapper. And she's known about all the murders that are going down at this center the entire time. So it's kind of like, and she's hot. I get it. But damn, I'm supposed to just sit here and accept that she's gone along with her father's plan this entire time and that she doesn't deserve punishment? And I guess because she's endured abuse of her own, that she gets a free pass. All right, I guess I could buy that. But still, it's like, yeah, even after becoming an adult, after all these years, you're still letting this go on and on and on. And like, not every security guard that goes in there is a prick or an asshole or a douche or, an ex-con or deserves it. So how come you stopped you didn't stop any of those other murders, but you're going to stop this one, I guess, because you have a crush on Josh Hutcherson, or because he has the younger sister, or because his younger, when she finds out that his younger brother was one of those abducted, she like, all right, I'm going to actually stick up for this guy. Look out for him. I don't know. So that was kind of like, she's just been letting this go on and on and on. And like, you're not innocent in this whole thing, baby. There's blood on your hands as well. And then you kind of find out that the kidnapper comes out as the Yellow Rabbit, because you're seeing all this imagery, all these pictures, right? That's how Josh Hutcherson kind of catches on to all this. He's like, finally actually takes some interest in his sister and looks at the pictures that she's drawing and is like, oh my God, she's been drawing out exactly what I need to know and what's been going on at this friggin' haunted amusement center. And so the Yellow Rabbit finally makes the appearance. And then you come to find out that it's good old Steve Raglan, aka William Afton. So that's the big twist. It's the career counselor, which, I mean, that was a bummer too, because I didn't have anything spoiled going into this, right? And so I'm watching that scene with Josh Hutcherson and Matthew Lillard as Steve Raglan in the beginning, when he's like, oh, you spent a week here, you got fired for this, you spent 2 weeks here, you got fired for that. Like, why should you're not fit for anything, huh? Huh, mister? And then he looks through the papers and he says, Mike, shh, and he stops himself and he kind of looks surprised, right? And then he's like, well, I do have this thing at this place, right? And then it kind of hangs after Josh Hutcherson leaves. They kind of slow zoom into Matthew Lillard, and you can see there's like some music playing and he's got like kind of a smirk or a grin on his face. And it's like, oh, that dude's involved in some way. Like, that guy right there is involved. So I feel like they could have done a little more subtle with that setup. Because the twist was like, yeah, I mean, who the fuck else would it be? It's like no one else in this movie. The ant, So that was kind of a letdown. It was like they kind of just tipped it right off from the bat, right off from the top. So basically, Abby draws a picture of William Afton, aka the Yellow Rabbit, murdering the children. So that's when the children kind of snap out of it inside the animatronics, and then go to town on the Yellow Rabbit. Vanessa's wounded. She gets stabbed by her dad, which is like, okay. She tries to stop her dad. The dad stabs her through the stomach. And I'm like, all right, I guess that's movie justice, right? She's been going along and being an accomplice for all these friggin' murders and looking the other way for all these murders that her dad's committing. So I guess that's, repercussions, right? Consequences for her actions. And then they pretty much end the movie towards the end of the movie with her in the hospital in a coma. And it was like, I think it was weeks later, weeks later, or something like that. And Josh Hutcherson brings her like a gift or something like that. And I'm like, you can go, I had to Google it, and I don't know if this is true. How do you fall into a coma after being stabbed in the stomach? I just don't buy that. So, falls into a coma. Okay. So, and then there's during the credits, an unknown distorted voice is heard spelling out, "Come find me." But we're all pretty sure it's the Yellow Rabbit. Matthew Lillard as the Yellow Rabbit, which that death scene was actually kind of cool. I mean, I wish they kind of kicked it up a notch, but I think that like if that like basically if these animatronics are just basically giant exoskeletons, right? Metal skeletons, they somehow were able to control the ribs of the exoskeleton and close them and basically so they were stabbing Matthew Lillard through the rib cages into the lungs, whatnot. And so that's where we leave him off. He's just kind of sitting on the ground, twitching, and like, you know, looks like he's being electrocuted and like dying a very painful death. And it's like all signs point to like, well, he wasn't officially killed. They didn't finish the job. So sequel, anyone? So looks like it probably will get a sequel. It grossed $80 million in the US and Canada, $52.7 million in other territories for a worldwide total of $132.7 million. It was initially projected to gross around $50 million from a little over 3,500 theaters in its opening weekend, but after it made $39 million on its first day, the biggest ever for a film with a simultaneous streaming release. Interesting little tidbit factoid. Estimates are rated to $78 million. The film had the second best day and date opening weekend ever, behind Black Widow's $80.3 million in 2021, the best opening weekend for a horror film in 2023, and Blumhouse's best opening, topping Halloween's $76.2 million. It was the second highest opening for a video game film behind the Super Mario Brothers, which was did some damage, dude. $146 million the previous April. So yeah, I mean, the fans came out in full force. And I gotta say, I've liked all the promos, the advertising, the trailers and whatnot. I mean, it's some creepy shit. It's just, it feels like they left a lot on the table. They could have done a lot more with what they had. Because it looked cool. I think the soundtrack was cool. I think, you know, I didn't hate Josh Hutcherson's performance. I thought Vanessa was a little not great. Abby, the sister, was okay. You know, the aunt was a big part of the storyline, and you know, she got done did, you know. So I'm judging by the box office and the fan response, I would imagine that they're probably going to work on one, if not two more. On Rotten Tomatoes, the 29% of all critics reviews were positive, with an average rating 4.6 out of 10. 22% of top critics thought it was gave it a positive review with an average rating of 4.1 out of 10. 89% of verified audience members and 91% of all audience members gave it a favorable review with a 4.4 out of 5 average rating. So I would not go 4 out of 5. I think I initially rated it a 7 on IMDb, and then I lowered it to a 6. And the more and more I think about it and think about it, it's like I might even drop it to a 5. So yeah, like a 5, between a 5 and a 6 out of 10, which would be a 2.5 to 3 stars. It's like if you had to pick a movie about psycho murdering animatronics, I think I would go Willy's Wonderland over Five Nights at Freddy's, which stinks because I think Five Nights at Freddy's, you could tell. It just felt like it had more potential for whatever reason. Metacritic uses a weighted average. It assigned the film a score of 33 out of 100 based on 34 critics, generally unfavorable. Cinema Score had a grade of A-. That's audiences that are surveyed. And then those polled at Post-Track gave it a 77% overall positive score. So there's not a whole lot of trivia here. The twist with Scott being William, quote unquote, Purple Guy Afton, and not who he says he was unfortunately spoiled months before the release, when Matthew Lillard was credited over Google as William Afton instead of Steve Raglan, and also said that he was signed to like a 3-picture deal. I don't know how that spoils things, but that would indicate that that doesn't spoil things. It just means there are more sequels. There are definitely 2 more going to come out. Springtrap's Knife Wipe is a direct reference to Ghostface's Knife Wipe in the Scream franchise. And at the end of the credits, there's a message from Afton in the Springlock suit stating to come find me. Yeah, we went over that, dude. Duh. So, I was not, it's interesting because I didn't have this like very negative reaction to it right after watching it. I was like, oh, all right, decent, not quite exactly top of the top, creme de la creme, but like wasn't awful. I'd probably recommend. And then over the past 2-3 days, I'm just like, man, I keep thinking about certain points of it, and I'm just like, twist was spoiled pretty early on in the movie. Wasn't a big fan of like Vanessa's performance per se. Not enough action. Just, I think a lot of like trauma, grief, which I didn't. Honestly, people wanted blood and they weren't given blood, but that doesn't mean I appreciated I thought they were going to go more into dream theory, because that was like a big scene at the beginning when Josh Hutcherson is sitting with his security guard friend. I think it might have been the opening scene. And the security guard friend is, you traded this for like a Cal Ripken rookie card? Like, why? And it's basically a book about dream theory. So I thought they were going to go a little bit more into that. And I was like, oh, this is an interesting twist on like the campy B-movie blood fest, right? And I kind of almost appreciated more as opposed to, okay, your standard A to B to C to D. I thought I was like, oh, they're going to go through this almost like a modern day twist on Nightmare on Elm Street, the Freddy Krueger approach. Don't fall asleep. But no, they kind of, yeah. So I think it wanted to be more than it was. Other people are saying that it should have been simplified, streamlined. I mean, like, they go in, they fight them off, blah, blah, blah. It's a fight for survival. It's not so much, the mystery end of things. But I appreciated the mystery, even though it was spoiled, like, very early on in the movie. So that's Five Nights at Freddy's. And who knows? Maybe, like, the next two movies, they do step it up. And they say, you know what? We were wrong. We're going to give you, all you creepoids and pervs, what you want. But, yeah, I just, Willy's Wonderland for my money. So next movie up that we're reviewing is No Hard Feelings with Jennifer Lawrence. On the brink of losing her home, Maddie finds an intriguing job listing. Helicopter parents looking for someone to bring their introverted 19-year-old son out of his shell before college. She has one summer to make him a man or die trying. And, die trying, that's ridiculous. She needed a car, a Buick Regal to be exact, right? The parents are like, hey, date, quote unquote, our son, and you get this Buick Regal free of charge. And of course, the opening scene, she got her car towed by an ex-lover. And so she needs a car because that's the only way she can pay taxes on the house she lives in that was given to her by a mother. No, not a whole lot. That was never revealed in the movie. What happened to the mom? Plot came from a real Craigslist ad sent to Gene Stubnitsky, who is the director and writer of this film. He previously directed Good Boys, which pretty decent film. Not bad, but also maybe not memorable. Like, you'll watch it, you'll enjoy it, and you'll probably never watch it again. That's what happened with me. I watched it once. I laughed a couple times, and I was like, okay, I have no need. If that's on again, great, but I have no need. No need. And then he also wrote Year One. That was with Michael Cera and Jack Black. Bad Teacher, Trophy Wife, which was a show on TV with Malin Ackerman. Jury Duty, which apparently is pretty good on, I think it's on Freevee or IMDb TV, which is through Prime Video possibly. And I guess Bad Teacher 2 is in development, which is interesting. Didn't know that was that kind of movie. I feel like I've not tried to watch it from start to finish. And that's on me. So maybe I need to do that. Come on now. Love Cameron Diaz. Yeah. So decent line of credits there, And then it was also co-written by John Phillips, who wrote Dirty Grandpa, which was with Robert De Niro, Aubrey Plaza, and Zac Efron. Another movie that I feel like I should give it a shot from start to finish. There was a period in my life where I just like, if I was only filtering on Rotten Tomatoes to like fresh scores. And it's like, sometimes you just need to get just below the threshold and you might find something that's just hits the spot, right? Satisfies that itch, not anything like groundbreaking or whatever, but like in terms of comedies, comedies are subjective. I get it. And so I think that's why there was a stretch of years where it's like, I'm passing up on these comedies that'll just make you laugh, but they don't have good reviews, but they'll make you laugh. And so I need to get back to those. kind of movies, because before Rotten Tomatoes, I would go see those movies in the theater. I'd watch them on TV, and I left my little pee-pee off. And then you go see, and then Rotten Tomatoes come out, and I see like, oh my God, whoa, the reviews on this are horrific. But I laugh so hard. So yeah, I got to get back to that. Yeah, Dirty Grandpa, Bad Teacher. Those are two things to add to the queue, brah. The cast, as I mentioned, Jennifer Lawrence plays Maddie Barker. She is the woman who is in her early 30s. That is response to the ad to date this 19-year-old who apparently is going to college. I remember when I first saw the trailer for this, I was like, oh, it's the parents of the high school kid. So the kid's like 17 then, right? So like this is like straight up like I think this is illegal. Like, that's the things that statutory. Like, what are we doing here? But no, he's 19, but he's going to be a freshman in college. It's like, I really am a fool for going to college at age 17. I'm a fool. If I could go to college as a freshman at age 19, are you kidding me? I'd friggin' dominate. Andrew Barth Feldman is Percy Becker. He is the introverted 19-year-old who's going to be attending Princeton, but is a virgin and all that nonsense. Laura Benante is his mom, Hachi Mama. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Hachi Mama. Matthew Broderick is Laird Becker, which they had a pretty decent joke, I guess, when Maddie, a.k.a. Jennifer Lawrence, meets the parents for the first time. He introduces himself, and she's like, Laird? Like lasagna? Also, that scene, so she loses the car, and so she decides to rollerblade everywhere. Take the rollerblades off before going up the stairs. Like, why are you going up the stairs in the rollerblades? So it's like, I know she's not the smartest. Like, she didn't pretend to be the smartest person. Like, that wasn't the point. But you think she's a little bit more, a little smarter than that. That's where there's a little bit of a disconnect, because it's like, so she's supposed to be playing not like a deadbeat or a loser per se. And I guess it's on me, right? For just having a preconceived notion about Jennifer Lawrence, because it's like, when have we ever seen her in a comedy like this, right? I don't think. Can't use my brain anymore, but she's glamorous star, like red carpet, all this stuff, like done up, makeup, blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of hard to like imagine her in this role in this kind of movie. It was tough to wrap my head around. And she looked, I don't know what was going on in the first act, but she did not look like herself. She looked like someone else. I don't know how to explain it. I swear to God, I wasn't drunk or high. I swear to God. Natalie Morales is Sarah. She was preggo the whole movie. Scott MacArthur is Jim. I fucking love that guy. I want to marry that guy. Like, I just want to be bros with him. So cool. He was in the Mick. He was in History of the World Part 2. Been a bunch of stuff, but oh my God, so goddamn funny. And there were a couple, they would do these things where they like put him down for saying crazy shit, and I'm like, y'all are saying crazy shit, y'all doing crazy stuff, why can't he be crazy too? So Kyle Mooney as Jody. I guess it's a spoiler. Hassan Minaj as Doug Kahn. Yeah. So she's so this Maddie Barker, Jennifer Lawrence, Uber driver, bartender in Montauk. She's facing bankruptcy after her cars were repossessed. She owes property taxes. Home she inherited from a mother. She agrees to date the kid for the Bjork Regal. There was there's a whole, the underlying tension, I guess, or conflict or motivator, driver for Maddie, and her anger is towards the wealthy folks, the tourists, right, that come in, which is pretty much like, this is not just, solely exclusively a Montauk thing. I mean, my family lived in Manasquan for many a year. but they weren't from Manasquan. They moved to there. They weren't born and raised, but yet they acted like they were Manasquan for life. And so, when the Bennies come in, Bayonne, Elizabeth, Newark, New York, which I would be shocked if I don't think there's anyone from Newark going to the Manasquan. But anyway, that would there was definitely like a hostility and a hatred towards the tourists. And I think that's just across the board. My buddies that got a place in Block Island, it's like, you guys are not born and raised in Block Island, okay? You were the visitors for so many summers. And now that you own a house, it's like you look down your nose, your schnoz, you spit on in the general direction of these tourists and visitors, And it's like, I have seen both sides of the fence, okay? Where it's like, I have family that live here, but like I'm renting because I want to support the economy, but also because I don't want to stumble into my parents' place at 4 a.m. With a no. So yeah, that was like, but they definitely showed you the prime examples of why the townies or the people from the area are not too fond of the summers, even though it literally is the reason the town exists, like drives the economy. Like if that doesn't happen, I don't know what happens. You know what I'm saying? The big storyline for this, pretty much the nude scene, right? Jennifer Lawrence nude scene. Whoa, Jennifer Lawrence nude scene. I had known about it because I'm a follower of Barstool Sports, and it made the rounds, I guess, when it first came out in theaters back in July or August, that she would have a nude scene on the beach, and it was a must watch. And I was like, oh, they're on the beach. Up, they're going skinny dipping. Up, here it comes. And I gotta say, still don't think it's her. I know, like, it's come out multiple times now. It's on the IMDb trivia page. It's on Wikipedia. It's everywhere that, she says it was her. She didn't use a body double. But why does it look so off? And I'm not talking about her body. I'm just saying it looks like a green screen situation. So maybe they did do some kind of CGI, but she was still naked. And, everyone was saying you don't have to do this. And she's like, no, this is hilarious to kick someone's ass while naked. It's like, yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. So that was like the scene that kind of the one scene that really got people talking about this movie. That being said, Jennifer Lawrence does a phenomenal job. It was just, I think it was a little rough sledding at first, like I said, to adjust to, because you're just not, I guess I'm just not used to seeing that. And then, a person hits a certain level and then you're just like, whoa, I don't know how to respond to this. But I thought, like, to me, and it was in the trailer, so that kind of ruined it. But like the scene where they're in the high school party and Percy tries to punch the dad and punches Jennifer Lawrence in the throat. That was just the sound, like it's good stuff. By the way, that party scene at the high school party where like they try to live out their proms that they didn't have, right? I have like an intense fear of the younger Gen Z folks. Like, I guess I don't know what I am. I think I'm Gen X, millennial, like we're on the cusp, we're on the divider line, the borderline. And so I don't even know if I have a generation. I'm the lost generation. And so, like her as a millennial, I would say she's 32, right? 31, 32, 34. Going into this party and like seeing like the two kids doing selfie videos about bullying and then getting bullied themselves and like her bullying them and then her getting catcalled and then being like, why don't you two big cats go like sleep with each other or fuck each other? And like, whoa, why? You're making it sound bad. Like, are you homophobic? And like the younger generation's ability to friggin' turn on a dime and go on the attack is just like, and then all the phones come out and everyone's filming. It's just like, oh my God, you really can't. Woo. Yeah. So I thought that definitely gave me some palpitations. I was just like, I got super anxious after watching that. I was like not secondhand embarrassment, but just secondhand like dread. Like, Jesus Christ, these kids are everywhere and they're intense and like just a whole new ball game. When he plays the piano, right? They dress up like they're going on a big date, prom date. And so they go to this really fancy restaurant and the piano's there. And Jennifer Lawrence, J Law, is like, hey, play on that piano. I'm going to announce something embarrassing. And so he's like, all right, fine. He goes and he plays like a slow, soft version of Man Eater by Hall & Oates. Oh my gosh, bro. That was, for me, probably the best scene in the movie. Like, and just Jennifer Lawrence's reaction was really sold it, but I don't even think they needed her reaction to sell it because it was that good. And apparently it was this guy, the actor who plays Percy is actually delayed going to Harvard to film this movie. And like, it's actually him playing the piano. It's actually him singing as well. So I thought that was cool. And then, of course, things go awry, right? They're getting stronger with their friendship and their connection. And, maybe she's falling for him just a little bit. And he's definitely falling for her. And so he's like, I'm not going to Princeton anymore. I'm going to stick around Montauk to be with my girl, Maddie. And that's when does he find out? How does he find out? Oh, yeah, the call. He accidentally eavesdrops on a call between Maddie and his parents where it's revealed that Maddie is dating him just to get the free car. So he goes and destroys the car in somewhat comedic fashion and then comes back to the dinner table and is like acting a fool, acting rude. And so he comes clean and says he knows. And then so they try to like kind of have sex and he prematurely ejaculates for the win. During foreplay, and so ends the relationship. That's when Maddie turns things around, right? And fixes the car, begins Ubering again, gets her back, her life back in line. And so that's when she tells her friends Jim and Sarah, right, the prego and her husband, that she's going to sell the house. And the couple says they're moving out of Montauk to Florida due to housing costs. She makes amends with Percy and decides to sell the house to Jim and Sarah and move to California. So I guess, yeah, the former police dog addicted to cocaine. That was pretty good at the shelter because Percy works at the shelter, right? And that's where Maddie first like hits on him. And that's where we find out that the dog was a former police dog that was addicted to cocaine. If you say the word cocaine, it triggers him and he goes nuts. So that was a good little gag throughout the movie. Also, this Jim and Sarah, these soon-to-be parents, Maddie makes like a pretty fucking cool mobile, right? The thing you hang over the baby's crib that spins, right? It's like surfboards. And it's like fitting because they're from Montauk. It's a surf town. The soon-to-be dad, right? The husband is a surfer. Like there's a scene where he's coming back from the surf. It's raining out, but it's like good surfing weather. So he's coming back. It's like, oh, it's so great to surf. And she shows them this mobile and they're like, oh, like so turned off. I did not get that at all. I get it. I have poor taste in just about everything. Fashion, decorations, aesthetics, the whole nine. But that seems like a pretty fitting, thoughtful gift. Like I made this. You like surfing. You probably want your kid to surf. Here's a mobile with surfboards. I don't know. I felt a little off. Jennifer Lawrence has still got it. Again, the first act, I don't know what was going on there. The way that they shot her was just kind of like, whoa, what's going on here? But yeah, still got it. So. But an emotional movie. I mean, basically the emotional plot line, character arc for Maddie is that, she had her mom Mom lost her mom, gonna lose the mom's house. She thinks that the mom wants to keep a house because they've had the house for so long, blah, blah. And you find out that her dad had another family, right? So I guess he was cheating on his wife with Maddie's mom, had her, and then became estranged, right? Wanted nothing to do with her. She writes a letter gets returned to sender, right? So that's the kind of emotional arc for Maddie is like, and throughout the movie, you're seeing all her former lovers like coming up to me and like, I fucking loved you, but you didn't love me back. All her jilted lovers. But I forget what the ultimate lesson is for her, where it's like, love is a battlefield. No, where it's like, love is serious. You got to take love seriously. Like, love is not a game, maybe, quit playing against my heart. Bye. I guess that's the takeaway for her is like, yeah, there's more to life than stop fucking around and get your life in order. But like, she's a bartender and an Uber driver. And I know that's not like CEO or anything like that, but it's a lot more than some people are doing. So I don't think she's like a complete deadbeat loser slacker type person. And it's like, all right, pay your taxes. That's all. Like, grow up. I get it. Mature. I get it. But yeah, is it better than Five Nights at Freddy's? Yeah, I guess. Like, it was expertly, but well done. I like the chemistry between the two, Maddie and Percy, J-Law and Barthman. Had a pretty, there was just, like the driving with the hood on the car, and it's basically Percy, the one after skinny dipping, she beats the shit out of the guys, gets the clothes back. Percy's like, mad at her or something like that. And so she won't give him his phone back. So he climbs on the hood of the car. She drives off with him, attached to the hood of the car. Cops start following her. She decides to floor it over some train tracks as a train's coming. And then, of course, that's the setup for the payoff at the end, where the roles are reversed. Percy's driving and J-Law is like on the hood, like, stop. I need you to talk to me. We need to reconcile, blah, blah, blah. And so he drives onto the beach, straight into the ocean. And that was the climax. I don't know, but that being said, other than those kind of two scenes, I guess, I thought they had a pretty good chemistry. I've kind of got away from rom-coms over the years, but this is I don't even know if I would call this a rom-com. I guess it is technically rom-com. I think I'd see sex comedy more. It definitely feels like a movie that you would have seen in the 80s, but somehow it would have been a dude, like an older dude and a high school woman. Or if it were made in the 80s, it would be the same gender roles, but Goldie Hawn would definitely be the Maddie Barker in this situation. So good to see that those kind of 80s comedies are making a comeback, as problematic as they may be. It grossed $50.5 million in the U.S. and Canada, $36.6 million in other territories for a worldwide grace. Grace. She died years ago. Worldwide gross of $87.1 million. It was projected to gross around $12 million from 3,200 theaters opening weekend, but it made $6.25 million on its first day, including $2.15 on Thursday night previews, and would slightly overperform and debuted at $15 million, finishing in fourth. In the second weekend, it made almost $8 million and a total of 11 over the 5-day Independence Day weekend. The 48% drop is considered a very solid hold, quote unquote, in a post-COVID marketplace. That's like, they ripped that straight from a board meeting. It was like, wow, that sounds really good. And it's like, it's the most qualifier statement I've ever seen in my life. Post-COVID marketplace. Very solid hold. Okay. Critics, 71% of all critics gave it a positive review for an average rating of 6.1 out of 10. 67% of top critics gave it a positive review for a 6 out of 10 rating. Critics consensus reads, this raunchy comedy often plays its disappointingly safe but plays it disappointingly safe. But Jennifer Lawrence's comedic and dramatic chops ensure that the end result prompts no hard feelings. Agreed. I mean, she carried the movie for sure. It just was, I needed to calibrate a little bit at the beginning. Could it have been raunchier? Always. Extra raunch, please. So 87% of verified audience members gave it a positive review with a 4.3 out of 5 average rating. 78% of all audience gave it a positive review with a 3.9 out of 5 average rating. That's high. I think I gave it a 6 on IMDb out of 10. And because you can't do like decimals or anything like that. So it's as close to being a 7 as you can rounding up. Does that make sense? So it's like probably a 6.4, the higher end that a 6 can be. 6.499999. Like almost a 6.5. And if you hit 6.5, you might as well just make it a 7, right? So I'd say it's almost a 6.5 out of 10 for me, dog, which would mean that it is above a 3 out of 5 average rating, right? I don't know that it's a 3.9, but damn, it's close. It's between a 3 and a 4, right? 6 and 8 is a better hand. Yeah, I'd say like 3.2, 3 out of 5, right? Does that make sense? 3.5 would be carry the 1. Yeah, lower than a 3.5 out of 5. So would I recommend it? Yeah. If you got a thing, if you grew up in the 80s, because I don't know that this happened too much in the 90s, but maybe it did, I guess. I just automatically think 80s and like Loverboy and what was the other one with the guy's a girl and the girl's a guy in high school? You know the one. Anything with Patrick Dempsey. Those kind of movies from the 80s. It's got a kind of the similar vibe, just updated for now times. Audience consensus says funny and heartfelt. No hard feelings is good fun for fans of R-rated comedies. Yeah, this movie probably is not going to work as a PG-13 comedy. So as far as R-rated comedies go, I feel like it could have dove a little bit more into the R for sure, knowing some of the best R-rated comedies that I've seen. So I don't think it ranks very high on the list of R-rated comedies, but it is something that you could watch and appreciate. Like, I don't think you're going to come away from being like, that sucked. It's like, that's a good little flick. Metacritic assigned the film a score of 59 out of 100. Again, right around that 60 mark. With mixed or average reviews. Audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of B+ on an A+ to F scale. Post-Track reported 84% of filmgoers gave it a positive score, with 59% saying they would definitely recommend it. So, am I recommending it? Is it a must-watch? No. But it's like if you don't have anything going on and you want to see Jennifer Lawrence's boobs, what more can you ask for? I watched this one on Netflix. I did not go to the theater to see this. So I'm curious to see what people's reaction was in real time to the boobs. But yeah, I guess I would recommend it. But take your time. After hearing criticism about the 15-year age gap between the two main characters, Gene Stupnitsky pointed out there was a 15-year age difference between the characters played by Jennifer Lawrence and Bradley Cooper in Silver Linings Playbook. Zing. But no one had an issue with that. Boom, bam, bam. Roasted. So, yeah. Still, it was interesting that one scene towards the beginning when they first are discussing it, it's her and her two friends, the married friends, right? The prego and her husband. And the dude had a valid point. Jim had a valid point. He was like, wait a minute, you won't blah, 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 which was I forget what it was, but it was a much less egregious type act needed to get the money. OnlyFans. I think he suggested OnlyFans, which I guess you wouldn't really make money on OnlyFans if it was anonymous, and she would probably prefer to be anonymous. So yeah, that's probably where it fell through there. But I would say they were acting like he was such an idiot, and it's like, I don't know, you could probably make a ton more money on OnlyFans. And you wouldn't, I don't know that you would necessarily need to have sex with a 19-year-old to do it, to make money. So, let's see if there's a quote down here that I could probably get. Oh yeah. I mean, that was a funny scene in the high school party. A funny line when she's literally going entering all these bedrooms trying to find Percy to make sure he doesn't do anything stupid or hook up with his former classmate, because she's catching feelings for him. And every door she goes into, you know, normally you would bust into a room at a party and like couples making out, couples having sex, and it was like every room she busted into, it was just like 2 kids on their phones or 3 kids on their phones. She was like, after the second or third time, she goes, "Does anyone fuck anymore?" That was good. I did like that a lot. I mean, they didn't want to commute. Oh yeah. So in that same very scene where he's like suggesting OnlyFans, right? Where OnlyFans, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I'm not like a avid subscriber to anything. I don't think. But you don't necessarily have to be on there having sex to make money. I don't think, right? But it is like that this whole exchange, and this is why I'm an incel, I think, it is what not infuriates me, but frustrates me. It's like the prego goes, women have all sorts of reasons for having sex. I mean, I had sex once because I didn't want to commute in the morning. Maddie goes, I've had sex with a guy to get out of playing Settlers of Catan. I mean, all this is funny, by the way, but it's at the same time a little like frustrating. Sarah goes, the prego goes, I had sex with a guy on a first date because I thought he was going to kill me. And Jim goes, Jesus, you're with me now, babe. And then Maddie's like, she's talking about you, dumbass. So that's good. But like, women have sex for a lot of different reasons. Can you feel the frustration? It's palpable. When he asked for a Pepsi and she goes, we only have Coke. He goes, do you want to go somewhere else? Like the reverse of what you usually get. Are you sure he's not gay? Yes, we've seen his porn. It's not gay. It's a little gay. A lot of bodies. So yeah, I mean, Jennifer Lawrence revealed that she did all of her nude scenes, so there was no body double, like I mentioned before, which I believe, I think it's just, again, her body didn't look weird. I think it was, I don't know if it was the way that it was shot. Like if it was one of those situations where they shot it during the day and then they tried to make it look like a night scene. Maybe that was it, because it looked like there was some green screen actions going on. It looked CGI. It just didn't look right. But she had to spend 2 days totally naked filming her beach fight scene in front of the film crew. 2 days. Why did it take 2 days to shoot that shit? Like, come on. I don't get it. And following X-Men Days of Future Past and Red Sparrow, this is the 3rd film in which Jennifer Lawrence plays a character who beats people up while she's naked. A little fun fact. So she likes to fight while nude in the buff. You know? She likes to throw hands while bearing it all. So, yeah, that's no hard feelings. Let's talk about the New York Football Giants. I don't know that we need to spend a lot of time on this because I've listened to every other podcast, video, whatever, breaking this shit down. A lot of people are saying this is on par with Miracle at the Meadowlands 1 and 2. Ooh, I think if there was a ranking of the 3, this would come in at 3rd. Mostly because Miracle at the Meadowlands 2, at least for me, I didn't see 1. It was also Pisarcik era, late 70s. We sucked anyway. Whatever. The Miracle of the Meadowlands 2 was a dagger. So I put that actually 1, and then Miracle of the Meadowlands 1, number 2. But this one is a probably a distant 3rd. Way more unlikely, right? Because the other 2 were just a play. It was like, oh, fumble, game over. Like so sudden, punt return, game over. This one was a series of plays that were just like improbable. And so I guess maybe if you want to make the argument that was like, that's what puts it on par with those 2 other plays, and okay, allowed, granted. Teams combined for 24 points, highest total in an NFL game since October 1998. 15 first half punts, the most in an NFL game since 81. converted only 4 of 34 third down opportunities between the two teams, 0 of 18 in the first half. First time since 2009. We were up 10-7. 3rd and 3 at the Jets' 19-yard line with 1:14 remaining. Jets without any timeouts. Literally 99% predicted win. Probability of a win. 99% probability of a friggin' win. So, yeah, I would say in terms of probabilities swinging the other ways, then, yeah, maybe this is one of the worst. Maybe I'm just in shock. I think that might be it. Maybe I'm just in shock where it's just like, especially after, if we didn't have the season that we're having right now, I think it'd have more of a profound effect on me and impact. But seeing what I've seen this season, it's just like, we've been making history every week, dude. Just add it to the list. I guess the defense, played, I've said this now every week for the past 3 weeks. It's best game of the season. I feel like this game, they played better than they did against Washington than they did against Buffalo, But again, it came down to literally 1, 2, 3 plays out of how many? 3 plays, right? It's the Kayvon offsides, a Dory pass interference, and one more if you want to. Again, I think it was a Dory getting roasted. But other than that, they played their friggin' balls off. Jets weren't doing anything other than the Breece Hall friggin' screen that went for 50 yards for a touchdown. It's like literally there's a mind wipe in the middle of a play every week for this Giants defense. Against Seattle was Noah Fant taking a tight end whatever screen and going 50 some odd yards untouched pretty much until Isaiah Simmons chased him down. And then you had and then Breece Hall catches a screen that's like, no way this is going anywhere more than 5-10 yards maximum, and it goes to the house. You watch guys react to it, and you're like, where is it? Where is everyone? A, B, where is the line of it? Where's the pursuit angles? Where's the aggression, the assertion? Where's attacking the football, attacking the runner? It's just like it's like they kind of power down for a play or something. I don't know. Thibodeau is a beast, No, I don't think anyone can really call him a bust anymore, right? Not that I said on pace to be, and he's really stepped it up to the point where he's now among the best in the league. 3 sacks, 91 PFF grade, career high. Has 8.5 sacks in his last 6 games. He personally held the Jets. No, the defense held the Jets without a third down conversion on the first 12 attempts. They rushed for 58 yards, the lowest total by a Giants opponent in Brian Daboll's 2 seasons as head coach, holding Breece Hall to 17 yards and 12 carries, which is outstanding. Bobby Okereke led the Giants tackles for the 5th consecutive game with 7 solo, 9 total. And Dexter Lawrence had the most pressures in a single game in the PFF era with 15. That's the highest since J.J. Watt did it in 2014. It's also tied for the most in a game this season. Oh, that's next gen stats, whatever. Over the last 3 weeks, the Giants defense in the first half of games is by far the best unit in the league. In quarters 1 through 4 plus overtime, they are still second in expected play, EPA divided by play allowed. It's an unreal stretch. So literally, the experts have done the math. Mathematicians have returned from their respite, right? And from their quarters, and have told us that if the Giants offense had just performed, if they were just ranked 25th in the league in most metrics categories, we'd be 3-0 in that stretch. Instead, we're 1-2, and we could have been 0-3. So it sucks wasting that kind of opportunity. It feels a lot like I think Big Blue VCR pointed this out. It feels a lot like the 90s, mid 90s Giants, 95, 96, where it's we have a really good defense. And I know we're not top 10 in the defense just yet, And now with Leonard Williams' departure, it probably won't get there. But those mid-90s Giants defenses, 93 to 99, we always had a good defense pretty much all those years. Spearheaded by, Strahan and Armstead, Seahorn. So feels like we're like back in that era again where the offense is pretty much one-dimensional. Back then it was Rodney Hampton. Now it's Saquon Barkley. But goddamn, defense is doing everything they can do. It's literally the offense and special teams. If we got literally anything out of those friggin' 2 units over the past 3 weeks, we'd be 3-0 over that stretch, and we would be 5-3 right now. No, yeah, we could be 5-3 right now. Think about that. Except we're 2-6, and looking real grim. So the offense did not convert a third down in our first 10 attempts. Tyrod suffered the rib injury with almost 7 minutes left in the first half. So Tommy DeVito played almost 3 quarters. He became the first undrafted rookie to throw a pass for the Giants in a regular season non-strike game in the common draft era, which began in 1967. Was also the first such quarterback to score a touchdown when he reached the end zone on a 6-yard run in the third quarter. The Giants' only touchdown. What a call! What a play! Option RPO, and he keeps for the touchdown, and nobody, including the Jets, saw that coming. And that was like one tweet for the day. What a call! What a pull! To see that and pull it and score. So good for Tommy DeVito. The Giants finished with -9 net passing yards, which is the fewest in franchise history. Previous low was -6 at Chicago on January 2nd, 2022. That was when Mike Glennon was piloting the ship. I mean, pirated my happiness. Okay, he stole it. It's the fewest net passing yards for a team in an overtime game in NFL history. I feel like I'm saying every week I'm coming up. There's a new ridiculous record being set or broken by this fucking team, and they're 2-6. So you can imagine what the records are all about. Okay. DeVito's rushing touchdown was the Giants' first second half touchdown since Matt Breida's 8-yard scoring run in San Francisco on September 21st. Ooh. Barkley eclipsed 100 rushing yards for the first time this season. He finished with 128 yards on 36 attempts, which is the most of his career. He carried the ball 35 times versus Houston in week 10 of last season. And if you remember in my Jets preview from last week, I said, we're going to see Saquon carry the ball as much as he did against Houston. And in fact, he carried it more. So I was kind of half joking, but I was like, wow, I was right on the friggin' money. 112 of his 128 rushing yards came after contact. So let's not go out there thinking like, oh, the offensive line has been healed and it's completely repaired and recovered and like back on the regular. No, I mean, there was some shots from the all 22 where like there's a dude in the backfield, shakes him, spins, jukes. Like I guess you almost kind of take for granted what he does on a carry by carry basis just to get positive yards or to avoid negative chunk yards. So what's wild is that this is Barkley's 17th career 100-yard game, and the Giants are 9-8 in those games. So yet again, it's another reason for all those people who said we never should have drafted Saquon Barkley at number 2, and that we should not even think about signing him to an extension. We shouldn't have put the franchise tag on him. We should have traded him. I mean, that kind of favors that argument pretty big time. That even when he's balling out and he's doing his best and putting up, career best, single game, whatever, we're still like almost a 500 team. It's tough to swallow. Again, I'd love to see him to be a Giant for life. Fuck yeah. But I also want to see him succeed and be productive and get the kind of, I know, who was it? Howard Cross or Carl Banks was saying that he wants to have a legacy like Barry Sanders, and I really, really admire that because I fucking love Barry Sanders and I love what he means to Detroit and to the Lions organization. I'll watch Barry Sanders highlights no matter what, no matter when. So I would love that for him, but the also like not ever winning a Super Bowl, not getting too far into the postseason and stuff. So the 203 rushing yards was the highest total since we had 217 in our win against the Colts on New Year's Day of this year. Special teams sucked. We had 13 punts, which is our highest total since 97 when we had a 7-7 tie with Washington. That's when Gus Frerotte headbutted the wall, hurt himself. What a ridiculous game that was. What a ridiculous season that was. And then our boy that we signed recently from the Steelers, Gunnar Olszewski, had 6 punt returns for 56 yards, which is an average of 9.3 per turn. He had a long 15 yards. Mwah! I mean, that's like, we would just settle for you to fair catch the ball and not muff it. So the fact that you were able to like actually catch it and return it for positive yardage, hell yeah. And then it was crazy. I saw he got cut on Monday and I was like, what are we doing? But I guess it's like, this is where I can't process like all the ins and outs of like NFL procedures and policies and transactions. But like they cut him so that he would go to the practice squad so they could elevate Tommy DeVito to the active roster. And then they're going to elevate him to the active. I don't know. I think he's still a Giant, even though he was cut. Graham Gano, who is still in uniform, is still playing for some reason. Missed 2 field goal attempts from 47-35, both wide left. So, yeah, there have been a lot of things this season that make you question the coaching staff and the administration, the front office, for their decision making, and there's plenty of things to point to. If we win these games, maybe we overlook them and we gloss over them and we don't like point them out. But because we are losing, they are flashing in big, bold, bright lights. Why is Gano still kicking? He's hurt. Get him surgery. Put him on IR, get him the surgery, and sign someone else that can make a 35-yard field goal, can make a 47-yard field goal. And I know that maybe there are still a lot of guys that are not signed right now on their couch that probably missed the 47-yarder, but the 35-yarder, come on now. That being said, I mean, even on the 35-yarder, Will McDonald leapfrogged over our line, and if Gano kicks it straight, it's probably blocked. So I don't know, it's probably blocked anyway. Our special teams is such a joke and shit show that it's cost us several games this year, and it's shocking that the coach is still has a position in the organization. I'll say that. A lot of people are going nuts about Tommy DeVito not being allowed to throw the ball. And I have a tendency I'm not going to go nuts about it because I get it. Like Tyrod Taylor wasn't successful either. So it's like, why push it? And if the run is working, like that's what, I was watching at a dive bar with a friend and I was like, this is the most impressive shit I've ever seen in my life. The Giants are not throwing the ball. The Jets know they're not going to throw the ball. And the Giants are still picking up positive yardage on runs. Obviously the Jets aided a lot of those drives with penalties. But the fact that it was just such a fucking gritty, gutsy performance from the offense that like we're gonna run the ball and we're still gonna get positive yardage enough to not lose the game. So, but yeah, I don't know why I know. I like just get him the surgery. He says he needs surgery. Get him the surgery. It's obvious that he's not himself. He's hit only 11 of 17 this year. I mean, we call this guy Mr. Automatic. This guy has crushed a record number of 50-yard plus field goals for the franchise. Probably might go down as like one of the best kicker, if not the best kicker we've ever had over, not just single season, but like over the course of their career. Get him the surgery. Like, I know he just signed the contract extension. And like, if you're really worried about the optics or like how that's going to look that we just signed him to the need surgery, like, come on, let's get over it. Get over it. It's costing us games. Big time. Not just him, but like the whole special teams unit. I mean, they're just so bad. So bad. So, Kayvon going off sides, that stops the clock. There plenty of replays online, really low grade, low quality replays online are showing that he timed it pretty well. I don't know what the exact rule is, but he timed that fairly well, and I could see them very well not calling that. So crazy. It's just really if this, if that, if this, if that. Like, if Saquon picks up the first down, 3rd and 3, right? Game over. If Gano hits the field goal, game over. If Kayvon doesn't go off sides, game over. If there's also the controversy around the Jet Center placing the ball when the referee is supposed to place the ball. That's legal. But now people are saying, well, the ref came in, touched the ball, and when you tap the ball, that's a placement, and so that makes it legal. I don't freaking know, dude. Point is, we shouldn't be in that situation. The defense balled out all fucking game with the exception of that one Breece Hall play. Deonte Banks was not his usual self, shutdown self. Garrett Wilson had some 7 catches, 100 yards. So it's not like we didn't let up some plays, but we weren't giving up plays like we were in the past on the last 2 Jets drives. 24 seconds left and just big gash explosive play back to back. That just didn't happen for the first 59 minutes and 36 seconds. And then it happens in 2 consecutive drives where it's just big gash play. So, and then in overtime, should we have accepted the ball knowing that we had a quarterback who they refused to throw down the field with? Interesting. Why not defer and have your defense go out there and continue to crush, and then you likely get better field position, and then you just do this whole. I mean, that was the game, right? That's what the Jets were doing. Was they had Morstead just fucking pin us at the 3. We go 3 and out, and then they get the ball at the 50. And luckily, our defense was able to, withstand the barrage. But that was how the Jets were winning, was through just backing us up and knowing that they would get the ball in more advantageous field position, but not really able to do anything with it. So I guess it's starting to sink in. That's one of the worst losses in franchise history. It just takes a while, I mean, I basically after Gano misses that field goal, I think I went and took a piss for 5 minutes straight. And so I missed a lot of the final shenanigans. Because I knew and as soon as Gano lined up for that field goal too, I was I have bad vibes. I turned to my friend, I was I have bad vibes. This is not, there's no shot he makes this kick. I think something bad, really bad is going to happen. I honestly thought, and it almost did happen, where Jets would block it and return it for a touchdown. It's game over. That might surpass Miracle at the Meadowlands 1 and 2 for sure. So yeah, I was I have bad vibes. I did not feel good about it. And then he missed it wide left, and I was just gonna go up and take a piss. And then I come back and it's oh, the Jets are in field goal position. They're about to tie the game. Cool. Greg Zuerlein kicked a 35-yard field goal to tie the game as time expired in the 4th quarter, and a 33-yarder with 3:51 elapsed to win the game in overtime. Yeah, they snapped the ball with 1 second left to spike it for that field goal attempt. I think that play started with 16 seconds left. 16 or 17 seconds left, I think. And the fact that they were able to complete that pass all the way down the field, run up and spike the ball with 1 second, makes our 3rd and 1 failed run attempt, 3rd and goal failed run attempt in Buffalo look that much more disastrous. I mean, yes, there was a little bit less time on the clock. I think it was 14 seconds as opposed to 17 seconds. But Jesus Christ, we ran a yard, not even. And it took us fucking 14 seconds to get up and snap the ball. You can blame it on Tyrod. You should. But at the same time, let's go, dude. 14 seconds to get to the, like, the Jets fucking threw that long ass pass. We're able to sprint down the field and snap the ball with 1 second left to kill the clock. Oy. All right. No worries. So, Zerline, Greg the Leg, is the first Giants opponent to tie a game on the final play of the fourth quarter and kick a game winner in overtime since Dallas's Billy Cundiff on September 15th, 2003. The first of those was a 52-yarder, and the second was a 25-yarder. Cowboys won 35-32. I vividly remember that game because it was against Parcells. I was like, I can't believe Parcells, the freaking Cowboys coach. And we had that fucking game in the bag, and to blow it in that kind of fashion, I think I had to go. Did I go into work the next day or for an interview the next day? Or I think I went to like an ESPN audition the next day. But I was just like, ugh. And that was just the beginning of the end. I mean, that season as well, it was all downhill from there. We went 4-12. Kerry Collins cut. Jim Fossil fired. But it led to the rebirth, right? 2004 with Eli and Tom Coughlin. So maybe this is like a 20-year cycle where like we're going to get all the bad juju out, the bad vibes out after this season, and there'll be another rebirth in 2024, right? So that's the Giants Jets game. Ugh. So the trade deadline came and passed, and as far as I know, only one trade. We traded Big Cat Leonard Williams to the Seattle Seahawks for a 2024 second-round draft choice and a fifth-round selection in 2025. We got back more for him in this trade than we gave up for him in the trade to get him from the Jets in 2019, which is kind of wild. But I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that we basically took on the rest of his contract for this year. And the Seahawks are paying the vet minimum or the final 9 games. So, you know, a lot of people saying it's sad to see him go, but it was like not shocking, not surprising. It was expected. And he'll forever be known, sadly, and everyone has said this and everyone acknowledges it, that he'll be better known for a bad trade from the GM in a lost season and an overblown contract, like a bad contract, as opposed to what he should be known for, which is his great play. Problem is he never played up to the contract because it was like a contract that no one can play up to. You know, it put him on par with, or put him above guys like Aaron Donald, and he just did not play quite as good as Aaron Donald. Was he average? By no means was he average. Definitely above average. But when you're the highest paid player, that's rough. So unfortunately, that's what his legacy was tied to while he was here. And that's the criticism that I always gave him. It's like, yeah, but you're getting this kind of money. So you need to play even better than you are. But I think if you take away the money, it's like, we're going to look back and be like, he was one of the better players that we've ever had. He started 53 of 61 games from 2019 to this season. He was a team captain last year and this year, twice named the NFC Defensive Player of the Week in the final 5 weeks of 2021 season. One of 3 Giants to start every game in 2021. His 81 tackles that year were the 4th most by any NFL defensive lineman. Pretty huge. Previous season, 2020, the COVID season, he had a team-leading 11.5 sacks. It's the most by Giants players since Jason Pierre-Paul's 14.5 in 2014. He was 3rd in the NFL with 30 quarterback hits and tied for 6th with 14 tackles for loss. He won the Player of the Week award twice, once for his performance against the Seahawks and that awesome 17-12 win that a lot of people have compared what should have been a win against the Jets with our 3rd string quarterback who didn't throw the ball. And in that Seahawks game, that was Colt McCoy starting where like we couldn't throw it. And so we just we handed it off to Alfred Morris and Wayne Gallman, or no, just Alfred Morris. I don't know. That was the game where the defense like came alive and ate Russell Wilson alive as well. And then again in the season finale against Dallas, which was a huge win that was spoiled by Doug Peterson being a bitch. So, yeah, I think that's one of a lot of people are applauding Joe Shane, and for good reason. Second round picks, very valuable. We'll see how those picks turn out. If they do turn out, we'll look back on this and say, wow, what a hole. No, we'll say, yeah, that was the game changer. But there's a lot going on with this organization that is just tough. Like Daniel Jones was fully cleared to play on Sunday before the game, but it was ruled out on Friday. So if he's ruled out on Friday, why would you even bother medically clearing him on Sunday? Why not? Like, it's just, I don't know if it's miscommunication or just fumbling the bag or whatever, but it just seems like they've really butchered a lot this season. Like, just mismanaged and mishandled a lot. It's like, don't rule Daniel Jones out. Apparently there's a emergency QB3 rule. You dress him and then you hope you don't have to use him. And in this case, you probably could have used them. Also, why is Tommy DeVito on the roster if you don't feel confident enough in him to throw it on the field? Again, wouldn't it have been nice to just play action? And there was a play, and I don't know if it was towards the end of the first half. I think it was, where Saquon runs the angle route, and he's wide open, and the ball's tipped. And if it's not tipped, he catches it and it goes for a touchdown. So it's like, you see what's possible, but I guess that must have been enough for them to be like, all right, well, he can't even make this throw that would have changed. Like, why even risk it? It's not worth the biscuit. I guess. I don't know. I still think when you're that run heavy, any kind of play action has a good chance to succeed. Any kind. And you just tell them, just be uber safe. Like, if it's not wide open, then just throw it away or take the sack. I don't know. So, there's a lot of I know Bobby Skinner from Talking Giants is pretty pissed about it, where, it's like, they just like, what? Why did they rule him out on Friday if he's medical cleared on Sunday? Why not just list him as questionable, suit him up? And then, he's saying that they didn't want to do that because then the optics would be bad. And then if Tyrod struggles, then people will be calling for Daniel to go in the game. Like, I guess, if, Daniel Jones versus Tommy DeVito, I think you're going to take your chances with Daniel Jones. I don't know. Season feels lost for sure. Like I said, if you come out of these two games 1-1, you're I think I said I had 1% hope for playoffs after the 40-0 blowout loss at home in week 1. And it's gone down to 0.1% at this point. I can't bring myself to completely rule out this team. I can't do it. I know that's clown shit, but I'm a clown. What do you want? I just think with the defense playing like they are and guys coming back healthy, oh my God, eat the trash. So, I don't know what to make of Daniel Jones at this point. The neck thing, I mean, it's two separate neck things. I guess that's better than the same neck thing. But it's a neck thing. And my mind immediately goes back to David Wilson in 2013 and, how he dominated in 2012 and then 2013 had the neck issues and he was out of the league after that year. I don't think he played in 2014. Maybe he did, but very promising career. Who's like, that guy was like a fucking weapon. And, we lost him to the neck thing. So it kind of feels like we could be looking at back next year and being like, oh man, Daniel Jones, what could have been if it weren't for the neck thing? I hope that's not the case. Tyrod Taylor was taken to the hospital. He's out of the hospital now, so that's good to hear. Rib injuries. Oof. What is the timeline on that? Oh, boy. I'm gonna see y'all. So rib cartilage injury can take 6 to 12 weeks to heal, or up to 6 months. A rib fracture takes up to 6 weeks to heal. Bruised ribs 1 to 2 weeks. I mean, this is not helpful. I don't know why I thought I'd look up a medical condition on the internet and think I would get a solid answer. Idiot. So it could be weeks, could be months. I don't know. Probably not going to play this week. So let's talk about this week. Let's preview the Raiders game. Giants-Raiders, Sunday, November 5th. Start time is 4:25 Eastern. This is going to be played at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada. The Raiders are favored by 4, which feels like a mistake. The over-under is 39. I would probably take the under. Yeah, for sure. That's a good bet. The Raiders leaders this year, Jimmy G has thrown for 1,000 yards. Was this before last night's game? I think this was before last night's game, so it's probably gone up since then. Not by much, though. Holy shit. I don't know if you watched that Raiders-Lions game. Woof. Jimmy G had Devontae Adams wide open for big gains, possible touchdowns twice, and overthrew him. Devontae, 46 catches, 528 yards, 3 touchdowns as before last night's game. Josh Jacobs is the leading runner with a little over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. Last 5 games, we won in 2021. I was en route to a wedding, my first wedding since the separation. Kind of awk. And the Giants pulled it out 23-16 at the Meadowlands a couple days before my birthday. In 2017, we lost 24-17. That was when Eli Manning was benched, broke the streak. Geno Smith played. Whatever happened to that guy, right? 2013, Giants won 24-20. I think I might have been at that game. It was the day after my birthday. That was when we were playing, not Jamarcus Russell. Who's the other bust? Oh, boy. Played at Ohio State. Was he part of the tattoo scandal? That sucks. Ty. Nope. You know what I'm talking about. Again, that was the 2013 season where our defense just came alive in the second half, and we finished strong, 7-9. But we were also playing against some really poor offenses, the Raiders and Packers, which ring a bell. 10 years later, here we are. Do we have the same strong finish in us this season as we did in 2013? And will it be enough to make the postseason? Stay tuned. Or don't. I don't care. 2009, we blew the doors off the Raiders 44-7. That's when we got off to a hot start, 5-0, 5-1. And it looked like we were like, we're in the money. And then just shit the bed down the second half of the season. Ooh. JetBlue, permanently grounded. And then New Year's Eve, 2005, we won 30-21. Tiki Barber went off for that long ass 95-yard touchdown run, I think it was. I threw up on a blanket that happened to be like a family heirloom, and I apologized profusely, but I don't think that apology was accepted to the friend, the person. But man, that was awesome. New Year's Eve party. There was a keg, going nuts. Giants are on. Fuck yeah. Raiders lead the all-time series 8-6. Did you know? Wow. Did you know? So the Raiders, oh boy, they were pretty awful with Jimmy G not active, and they're also not great when he is active. 30th in points scored per game, 21st in points allowed per game. They are dead last in takeaway differential, and this is why this gives me hope. Like, I think we can get the dub, is because I think they're going to turn the ball. We're going to force some turnovers, a lot of turnovers, and hopefully the offense can, I don't know, try to capitalize, or maybe the defense just scores 2 touchdowns and that's how we win. Raiders are 18th in passing yards per game and dead last in rushing yards per game. Interesting, my man. Interesting. You know, when you have a force like Josh Jacobs, you think Like that was the only drive that they had that was that good against the Lions. The scoring drive was Josh Jacobs. Just like run. But hey, who am I? Tell Josh McDaniels what to do, right? So dead last in rushing yards per game. They're 7th in defensive passing yards allowed per game, but 25th in defensive rushing yards allowed per game. So feels like you know the drill. Run. I'd imagine they're going to do a lot of RPO so that it can give the option of either Daniel handing it to Saquon and taking it himself. And so I would imagine if both those guys can just fucking stay healthy, that we should be able to run for a lot of yards and win the game. We're somehow still 23rd in points allowed per game. Despite giving up like fucking 10 points a game, 11 points a game with the last 3, we're still 23rd. But yeah, it's let's make sure that we put a body or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 on Max Crosby, right? Let's bottle up Josh Jacobs. And I think Jimmy G is not going to win the game. So just like bracket Devontae Adams. Boom. Problem solved. So I would be surprised if we lost this game. I would be. This feels like a win. Feels like, all right, people are counting us out. You know, they're like, the season's lost. We just traded away one of our biggest chips, biggest assets. And what you gonna do? What you gonna do with the season falling apart? And I think the team responds. It does feel like we're still gonna finish strong and we're just gonna miss the playoffs. That's the vibe I get. And it sucks that Darren Waller, I can't imagine him playing. That hamstring is going to be a fucking pain in the ass for the rest of the season. So as much as we'd love to see a revenge game where he goes for 100 and a touch, I don't think he's going to participate. I guess we'll get Andrew Thomas back. I don't know. Evan Neal might be back. I say that every week. It would be nice to just get everyone back and healthy for a pretty considerable push. Because the remaining schedule, look ahead to the next 3 weeks before the bye, at Dallas, at Washington, home against New England. So, yeah, I mean, it would be interesting to see how the team responds, how the defense responds to losing a guy like Leonard Williams. You know, I think A'Shawn Robinson is more than capable of coming in and playing a bigger part, as Nacho could as well. I mean, that's the reason why you signed them, right? Was for depth. And then with the emergence of Jordan Riley and DJ Davidson, I feel like we're okay in the interior D line. So I don't think that's as big a loss as most would think. You know, maybe you give up one more field goal per game. I cannot believe we did not trade Adoree Jackson. That blows my mind that we did not trade Adoree Jackson. And it means for me, it means one of two things in my mind. This is how I see it. Either the Giants got 0 calls on Adoree Jackson. Like no one wants him because they realize that he is just not worth it, or they weren't asking for enough, or the Giants wanted more. I think that's my guess, is like teams called. They're like, we'll give you a 7th. And Joe Schoen was like, no. And in my head, it's like, I think I would have taken a 7th. I think I would have taken a 7th because it's like, just to have all that draft capital, you can throw it in as a nice cherry on top on some other trade to move up or something like that. I think I would have taken a 7th. I think Joe Schoen turned down a 7th or a 6th round pick for Adoree Jackson because it can't be the salary. Because I feel like Adoree Jackson was probably in the same boat as Leonard Williams. Like a lot of teams were like, we want to trade for him, but we can't take on the salary. Can you take on the salary? And the Giants have shown that they will and can. But I guess because they didn't restructure Adoree Jackson's contract before the 4 p.m. deadline on Monday, that wasn't possible. That being said, why not? Why didn't you? I guess Adoree didn't want to. I don't know. It'd be interesting to hear the details of that because, like, I thought for sure he was gone. I thought he would go quicker or higher probability of him going than Leonard Williams. So stuck with Adoree Jackson, didn't get anything for him, and I cannot see us re-signing him unless he takes a humongous pay cut. And we have enough guys in the secondary. We've already said this. Cordell Flott coming out and breaking out. 2 passes defended, 80-something PFF grade. Trey Hawkins starting to come back around a little bit. Deonte Banks had a little bit of an off game, but he's been steady and consistent all season. Nick McLeod came in and played really well. So I don't know. I think that was a huge missed opportunity. And apparently they do feel like they don't. This is what stinks is like the Giants didn't feel confident or strong enough or believe enough in Xavier McKinney to extend him this past offseason. And they're just going to let him walk. It's going to be like, okay. Like, why didn't we get something for him? We have enough safeties, dude. Jason Pinnock, Dane Belton. I don't know. So, yeah, remaining schedule. At Dallas, November 12th, 4:25 game. I mean, I don't know. I feel like feels like it's going to be mass genocide. It's just going to be like a bloodbath. But I know I shouldn't say any of that, given the current world climate, what's going on. But a blowout. Like I think a lot of people would think that's a blowout. So watch the Giants come out and play them like fucking fight tooth and nail. And then at Commanders, Commanders traded more players than we did. They traded Montez Sweat, and I think they traded Chase Young. So they, obviously feel strong enough in the current defensive line. They got some nice draft picks back. They got second for Sweat. I forget what they get for Chase Young. So I don't think they're going to be quite at the same level that they were a couple of weeks ago when we took them down to the wire. So you got to feel like that could be a W. And then Patriots, they lost to the Dolphins by a couple scores, but we lost to the Dolphins by a couple scores. They beat the Bills. We lost the Bills. Tough to say. I think if this were in New England, I think you could almost I think you could probably chalk that up to be a loss. But the fact that it's at home, I have slightly better feelings about it. But yeah, I mean, listen, you still have the potential to go into the bye week at 6-6. That's still possible. I know it doesn't feel possible. It feels like the season's already done, so who gives a shit? But if this team really takes that loss to heart against the Jets and says, you know what, fuck this noise. Our defense is there. Our offense is gonna get better, gonna get healthy, right? With Jones back, we have Barkley now. We lost Waller, but if we're getting healthier on offense, who knows what our offense looks like against Dallas. I know 6-6 is like to be 6-6 at week 13. It's gonna suck that last part because you got Packers, Saints, Rams, Eagles twice. But the Rams, I mean, I thought they were better than they are. I think maybe not. They got their doors blown off by the Cowboys. I'm not saying that's going to be a walk in the park, but I think that feels like I feel a little bit better about that. Eagles twice. I mean, barring something cataclysmic or them just not playing all their starters, I think we probably get swept there. So 9-8. Can we do it, dude? 9-8. Realistically, probably the ceiling is 8-9, and I don't. That's probably not enough to make the playoffs. But I'd say you lose against the Raiders. Yeah, okay, we can officially. It's so wild. I've now convinced myself. I mean, this is why being a fan is so fucking awesome. Because last week I said if we lose one of these two games against the Raiders, the Commanders or the Jets, season's over. You can think about next season. And now we've lost the Jets, and I'm now saying that we can probably beat the Cowboys and go 9-8. What? All right. I think that's probably enough of that. So, got the daughter this weekend. I don't know what we're gonna do, But whatever it is, you're going to hear about it next week. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. And we'll talk to you next time. Adios, muchachos. And happy Halloween. Hot damn.